understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the CTV report for the week ending Saturday, October 21st, 2017. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I am Sarah Netzley, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we have 6 new episodes this week, and probably most weeks moving forward. Isn't this the way it's shaping up?
Yep.
So,
yeah. Well,
buckle up.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's around the corner. I'm sure something will take off then. But we're deep into it.
Usually you get the Thanksgiving week off, and then maybe you get 1 episode, maybe 2 if you're lucky. Then you have a long winter's nap. Mm-hmm. So we should have a good stretch of maybe 4 or 5 more, I'm guessing. Yeah. And then probably nothing until January, February. So bask in us while you can. Soak us in, people. That got weird. That got weird fast.
Cool. And just a quick thing to say. You know, we say it at the end of the show, but I figured I'll just say it up front too. We are available on Google, Stitcher, Google Play, Stitcher, and iTunes, or Apple Podcasts. I don't know what it's called this week. But,
it's called a big disappointment.
And plenty of other podcast sources. And we just ask, please subscribe, tell all your friends about us. And if you have a chance, go, if you're on any of those services, please rate and review us. That's what helps other people find us. Helps us get more exposure. And also, speaking of exposure, if you want to interact with us, we are both on Twitter, and there is an @DCTV report Twitter handle, but we also have an email address, which is dctv@wickedtheory.com, and we got 2 emails this week.
Our mailbox was on fire.
Yeah. First time where it wasn't just Twitter updates. There's one that's...
Wait, Twitter likes to email, though, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Every notification. We gotta change those settings. But one of them is show specific, so I don't think we'll get to that email until we get to that show. But the other one is from this guy. I've had some interactions with him in the past. I don't know about you, Sarah, but
I've had some interactions with him in the past.
Yeah. In fact, he called me about an hour ago. But
I only had a message waiting for me when I logged into Skype just now. Well, so I didn't get the call. I got the Skype message.
So it was Agent Palmer. For those of you, he's go to agentpalmer.com. Send all of your hate mail about anything to theagentpalmer@gmail.com.
The weather, your sandwich was disappointing for lunch today. Email Palmer. Let him know.
Yeah, he's the guy. But he sent us a very pleasant email.
It's pleasant for you.
Yeah. Towards the end here, there's something that I had to have explained to me that it wasn't, he says he likes the show, but...
Oh, wait, could you please at least use the titles that he gave us in the salutation of the email?
Oh, that's right. He calls us the king and queen of DC's multiverse.
I like that. I very much.
Too. I do too. I also know all of the kings and queens in DC's multiverse, and I don't know if I want to piss them off just now, but I'll take it. Are
we the Earth division, the Earth League of DCTV's multiverse royalty? Yeah,
we're somewhere on Earth 49. Just hanging out, watching the TV shows as they come out. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. He also says that the only show he watches in Gotham, and he likes the fact that he can listen to us and learn all about the other shows without having to actually watch them himself.
We're such great time savers.
Yes. Which, by the way, I always do make sure to put the time codes in the description. So
Yeah, if last year I often would be a week behind on this show or a couple weeks behind on that show, I have to do my DCTV homework now that I'm podcasting, which has been a lot of fun actually to keep up. But if you're like me, 2016 version, and you didn't get around to watching Arrow this week, for example, you can just skip right over that and you can go from Legends to Gotham.
Exactly. So yeah, and okay, so all right, so here I'm gonna give the exact wording on this part of the email. So Sarah, quote, "Do you mind if I name my first child after you? Dipshit Knight has a nice ring to it. No, I will not relent until Real Genius is at the top of your Kilmer movie list, Sarah. The moral imperative."
So I innocently tweeted my top 5 Val Kilmer movies and said I would brook no argument about the order and the inclusion on there. And number 1 was the Abrams-Zucker classic Top Secret, where Val Kilmer is at the peak of his Val Kilmerness. But Agent Palmer, who's a good agent and a kind man, took violent exception to this, because Real Genius is a lovely movie. It's charming. The geeks shall rule the earth. It treats intelligence with respect, but also, goofiness, because it is an 80s comedy. And it's great, but I worship at the altar of the airplane, the Naked Gun type stuff. That's what I grew up with. So of course I'm going to like Top Secret. Come on. So I respect Palmer's right to be wrong. But in this case, I think it's just a differing opinion in what we like in comedy. I like goofy, ridiculous, stupid comedy, and he likes, I guess, more cerebral comedy where homes fill up with popcorn, and that's fine too. And
now, could you tell me the other 4 movies on the list?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I tweeted this so long ago, I've forgotten.
Okay. Well, it's funny because
I know.
Go ahead.
I had to revise it because I completely forgot Tombstone. And how could I have done that? Because,
yeah, that's probably, if you're going on my list, now, I have not seen Top Secret or Real Genius.
I'm going to need you to be a buddy and fix that.
Yeah, now here's the problem. Being a child of the 90s, all of those movies I would catch on reruns.
Sure.
Yeah, and I used to always I've never seen, as I said, I've never seen either movie, but for some reason in my head, between commercials and seeing bits and pieces of them, I always confuse Top Secret with Spies Like Us.
That's fair. I think it's kind of a similar vibe. Top Secret was spoofing a lot of those old spy movies, so I can see that. Sure.
And I always confuse Real Genius with the computer wore tennis shoes, and not like
I thought you were going to say War Games.
Oh no, and not the mediocre The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes with Kurt Russell in the 70s. I'm talking about the Disney Channel remake with Kirk Cameron from the late 80s.
Oh my god.
And I'm sure they're 2 very different movies.
Yes, I'm sure they are. Okay, I found my list. I just had to do a quick search on Twitter. Tombstone was on there. What I forgot was even worse than that. So number 1, Top Secret. Number 2, Tombstone. Number 3, Real Genius. It's on there, Palmer. It's on there. Number 3. Number 4, The Saint. I will fight you. The Saint is a delightful movie. Number 5, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And what I forgot was Willow. And I was so horrified to have that pointed out to me. So actually Willow probably creeps in there around 4 or 5-ish and bumps off Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
I don't know. To me, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Agree, disagree, find me on Twitter, email us. I'm happy to have more conversations ranking Val Kilmer's. I have not seen The Snowman yet, but as I understand it, it's terrible. And the last movie on the list of Val Kilmer movies now, so.
Oh, okay.
Poor Val.
I didn't even know he was in that.
Yes, and he's not in much anymore, so I feel bad that his choice was not as good as it could have been.
I was planning on seeing it tomorrow.
It's supposed to be horrible. Let me know how it is.
Well, you know what? I'm probably going to be saying, like, why is this movie not as good as Wind River, which you should see, which is also a murder mystery in the snow, but with Jeremy Renner, and
I haven't seen
much
that
better.
Okay.
It's the same guys who did the same writer for Hell or High Water. Remember that from last year.
Mm-hmm. Listen, all I'm saying with Val Kilmer is if you have not seen a young 80s Val Kilmer being a teen music idol singing Straighten the Rug and dancing around like a 50s sock hop malt shop. You just haven't lived, and I'm sorry for you. And it's got East German like spy humor, and it's so good.
All right. Well, all right. So, and one other thing in here, he does have a PS that he wants people to start pestering me on Twitter more, because he doesn't think I'm active enough on Twitter, which I do what I can. And he just, he would say here, I urge all listeners of the DC TV Report to tweet at Ed with any of their DC or even general movie questions. He's a minefield of information waiting to explode.
I can vouch. Every time I bring up just a comic character in passing, it's like, oh yeah, sure, that was so-and-so and such and did this and then ended there. And so, yeah, you should hit him up all the time.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to cut me off. I can't stop myself. Yeah, and I find like the thing I always, I gotta, he's right. I do need to figure out how to use Twitter better. But a lot of times someone will just tweet something at me and it'll be just like a statement. And I don't realize that, I'm supposed to respond to that. I can't just like it or retweet it. Like, they actually want me to comment on it. So if you put them in the form of a question, I will definitely respond to that. I am much more likely to respond to it. So
start sending your statements to him, but put just question marks at the end. Apparently that's all it takes.
There we go. That's one way to work it. All right, that's enough. Let's get into the meat.
Talk about the DC stuff. All right.
Yeah. So let's kick it off with Monday. First up, we got Lucifer.
Great episode. All right, you want me to do the summary?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we've got Mazikeen barreling through Canada hunting a bounty who allegedly killed 2 teenagers, while Lucifer and Chloe track Maze from home and become suspicious of the lieutenant who assigned her the bounty. Dan plans a Hawaiian vacation but ends up heading up north to give Maze backup. Last minute reveal, pictures of Maze were placed in a file cabinet along with other files on all our fellow heroes, including Guardium. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So this was an unusual little episode because Maze was front and center. We got barely any Lucifer. We got barely any Chloe. We had more Dan really than any of the rest of them. So it really it had a different feel and a different tone, and I loved it. How about you?
Yeah, I really liked it too. This was the first of those standalone episodes they filmed last year, for season 2 that they decided to throw in here. Because the episode order was moved around, but I think it's a complete story. I love bubble episodes. I love one-offs. Sometimes sometimes CBS is really good for just like that procedural. I got an hour. I need something that has got a beginning, middle, and end, and we're off.
And it helps that they did a fish out of water kind of thing. May's trying to make it in Canada. She didn't realize how cold it was. She doesn't account for the niceness of Canadians and how hard that makes her usual tactics.
Hey, I still don't trust them.
So that... Is it because they're too nice?
Yeah. Well, no. I joke a lot about on podcasts about how much I hate Canadians. The truth is, I just had a bad experience at Fan Expo Canada in around 2013. I don't think I need to say more. I think you can. I
kind of want to hear more off the air.
No. That's gonna be like a book, or like when someone strands me as a guest on a podcast and plies me with too much bourbon.
Ed, tell us why you hate Canadians. Well, let me tell you, it was the winter of 2013. But the case itself, it was just a typical frame job, right? It was somebody who's on the run, had been framed by a dirty cop. So it was pretty standard for your, as you say, that kind of police procedural. But the casting was so good. The Maze was able to bounce off of the dirty lieutenant and her bounty so beautifully. And like I said, the Canadians and the people after her, it just was incredibly well done, fun, unexpected. I was worried when I found out that it was going to be held over from season 2 into season 3, because sometimes the character relationships have changed, characters have evolved. So I was worried that it wouldn't necessarily fit into the flow of things, but really there were so few other people in it. There was no mention of the Tom Welling character, because obviously he wasn't on board when this was filmed, but he didn't need to be there. So my concerns about, is this going to feel like a strange kind of throwback, put to rest. It fit beautifully. It was a lot of fun. It's the first time we've seen Trixie, Chloe's daughter, all season, and this show is the only way to make a child acceptable on a show like this is to put her opposite Mazikeen, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Although I like her interactions with Lucifer too, but yeah, her and Maze are just perfect together. I loved when they went trick or treating together on Halloween. I thought that was one of the funniest things. But yeah,
but most importantly was the bounty she was after was played by Chris McKenna, who he's just a man. He just had this like world-weary masculine charm, and he was perfect. He was the perfect foil. He was the perfect sparring partner, the perfect kissing partner. It was all really good.
Where do I know him from?
He did a Grimm. I don't know if you watched Grimm. He was on a couple episodes of the final season of Grimm this year. He did a couple of episodes of Major Crimes. He was on The Young and the Restless quite a bit. Are you a big Y&R fan?
I don't watch any of those shows.
He was on 90210, the new version. These are not things I think that you ever would have watched.
No, but he was
a one-off of Castle, a one-off of a couple of different NCISs. Anything?
Okay, no, but he was really good in this. I was impressed. Yeah, I thought he was great as that character. He just has that natural charisma, and he bounced off Maze really well. Is this the first time Maze has shown up this season? Because
it is.
Yeah. So I think this was the perfect place to put it. And it could take place in the middle of the others, and that's not a big and it doesn't hurt the story flow at all. I just think this was a nice little story.
Yeah, I agree. And but what's interesting to me is the things that it implies that might be happening this season. So this was supposed to be in season 2. When they trimmed the order down to 18 or whatever it was, they held 4 episodes for this season. But that end reveal where we have this mystery person with files on Lucifer and on Amenadiel and on Maze, we don't know who that is. Is that connected to the Sinnerman? Is it a whole new big bad? Somebody who's going to be working alongside or just in completely separate directions? Are we never going to see this file cabinet again? It seems like it opened up a much larger question for me for this one-off goofy held over from last season episode that I'm really curious about.
Yeah, I think definitely we're going to see that filing cabinet again.
I hope so.
Yeah, as far as like what this means, I don't know. My gut is that it's the Sinnerman, but
that they were trying to set him up in season 2 at the end there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is like, you don't know. They may have just added that scene in later.
That's true too. I did think about that. They could have just tucked that in as a little coda, so they could tie it a little bit better in with this season. And if they did that, that's great. That's brilliant. And if it means that we get to see Chris McKenna's Ben Rivers back again because he's in Maze's file and he's part of it, if he pops up unexpectedly as they get to the final, concluding episodes of the season, this season, that would be fine by me. In fact, I'm already writing the fanfic in my head. If he could sweep Maze off at the end of the season so they could do a quick, like, we're going to go on the run to these European countries and then she's back in place for season 4, that'd be fine. I'm just suggesting it, Lucifer writers. Do with that what you will.
We'll see.
And Chloe telling Lucifer, "Don't touch my nose," for some reason really tickled me. Really funny delivery on that. Don't touch my nose.
Yeah. I think that pretty much sums it up. There was no news for Lucifer, right?
No, I didn't see anything worth reporting on this week.
Okay. Anything more you want to talk about with this episode? Or...
No, I don't think so. Just It continues the good streak. Good. Well done, Lucifer. Keep it up. Do we want to do the other email?
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding me.
I want to tell you how to do your job, man.
All right. So yeah, you're right. I apologize. I apologize to Chad Rose, who hosts the What's Your Work podcast. Does send us a very brief and to the point email, which is what I believe all the emails should be. I've never seen Lucifer. Give me 3 reasons, each from you, Ed and Sarah, why I should add this to my watch list.
Ooh. Do you have 3 ready to go?
3 ready to go. Well, I'm gonna say Tom Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Ellis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and the ongoing story. I think the procedural stuff, the murder mystery stuff, that's its own thing. But I think the ongoing story of Lucifer trying to come to terms with, I guess not really his humanity, but his purpose in life, and what he's going to be going through. I think that's a really interesting dynamic in the way that plays out over the course of the series.
Yeah. So my 3, since you took a couple of my Tom Ellis's, would be, when I heard about the concept, I thought, oh, do we really need another police show? And oh my God, the devil? Okay. But it's far better than it has any right to be. Based on that description, the devil helps solve crimes in LA. It so transcends that, and it's so well written, and it's funny, and it's surprising. And, the crimes are good. They're usually not that easy to figure out. They're usually something different, unusual, interesting, but the characters really pop in them. Number 2, smart female characters, but all in different ways. You've got Chloe, who's a great detective. You've got Dr. Linda, who's very book smart and good with people's feelings and emotions and cutting through the clutter. And then Maze, who's very body smart. She's a fighter. She knows how to hunt and think about the worst in people, I guess. So I like the diversity of strong women we get. I don't know, Chad, if that's a selling point for you. It sure is for me. And number 3, flawless guest casting. They have brought people on for season-long arcs. They've brought people on for one-off episode stints, and almost always they're so flawless. So a couple of them are not surprises necessarily, but it is nice to see them pop up. And I hate to tell you too far in advance, because then you start looking forward to them too much. But a friend of mine, Tanya, is watching Lucifer right now, because I'm recapping it for EW.com, because we're covering it on the podcast, and she is a supportive friend like that. So she's been plowing through. And so I've been getting her updates like, oh my gosh, she's on here. Oh my gosh, he's on here. This is amazing. So I'd say the guest stars, number 3.
Yeah, and also on the female characters, I would include Ella in that. I think.
Oh my gosh, how could I forget Ella? Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting character. We've talked about her as a person of faith, and I think that's a very important element in this show. And I think that's one of the few characters like that they handle respectfully, and still contributes to the team. And she has her kooky side, which is really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just like that everybody has different strengths and different skills that they bring, and it just represents a lot of different types of intelligences and accomplishments. And also, did I mention Tom Ellis?
Yes, Tom Ellis. So. And you know what it is? All of those characters, the way he interacts with them, and when he finds a new toy to play with, just the character, figuratively, it is the most engrossing thing. I find it so fascinating to see him start to smile and turn up and get ready to ask that, what do you desire?
And I also love that he can turn on a dime, though, from goofy, affable, hedonist guy to real scary demon. That he really can turn that anger on and that fury. And I love that too, that you just never quite know what you're going to get, because he is it's kind of like having a panther in the car next to you. He's purring, he's content, and then he can rake you with his claws. So
all right,
a tortured metaphor for you. More reasons than Chad asked for, but there you go. You should give Lucifer a try.
All right, so now for real, we're on to Supergirl.
Yes.
All right, so first up, Kara took on Sai, a bank robber with psychic powers that forced Kara to relive her scariest moments. Lena began her day-to-day work at Catco, called out Kara on her poor job performance, and made James nervous about his future. Samantha's daughter Ruby began lashing out, trying to prove her mom had superpowers. And Alex and Maggie had awkward convos about music at their wedding and having kids. Last-minute reveal, while sitting alone at a bar, John got called back to Mars by McGann Moors.
Excellent, flawless Martian pronunciation there. Hats off.
Thank you. I'm practicing.
So here's my biggest question about this episode. Poor Kara does not have a great time in this episode. Sai almost gets the best of her. She is this incredibly incredibly unapologetic, confident supervillain, and I loved it. But Kara ends up kind of panic attacking and at one point is cowering in the corner of an elevator at Catco when she decides, screw this, rips off her Kara clothes, leaves her bag and her glasses behind, and shoots through the roof of the elevator. Okay, riddle me this. What happens when the cleaning crew comes in, or the elevator repair guys, and they find pile of Kara clothes, hole in roof, no Kara? How is that? That feels like a plot hole to me.
Yeah.
I don't mean to get bogged down. I really, truly, I don't mean to get bogged down in those little details. It's CW superhero shows, which I love for what they are. But to me, that felt kind of like a big oversight.
Yeah, well, I don't think Kara was really thinking clearly at the time.
Well, then they should circle back and address, if it's going to be addressed next week, how did this happen? And James has to be like, oh, I told her she needed to try out roof escape plans from the elevator. I don't know. If they could just address it, I'd be a lot more satisfied, because to me, that's such a big, I'm being pedantic, aren't I? But
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of Superman properties,
don't think about it too much.
Yeah, well, no, if you remember, like, the first Superman movie, there's one transformation that Clark Kent makes where he just, like, falls out of a window and his clothes don't fall off. He just, like, fades into being Superman. And I think it was the kind of thing where, like, this just looks really cool. So,
it did look really cool, and I liked how she just problem solved with her fists out the top of the elevator, but it left a lot of questions behind.
Yeah. So what did you think of Sai?
I loved her.
Yeah, I thought this was a great villain, and I wish there was more of her in the episode.
Me too. I would like to have... They really kind of hinted that she had lived an otherwise law-abiding life until all of a sudden she just started robbing banks. And so it felt like there was a little more there. And in some ways it was kind of cool that she didn't have the tragic backstory and the woe is me or the thing that turned her into this criminal. She just was. And she doesn't try to hide her identity. She walks around without a mask. She revels in it because who's going to stop her? So she's somebody, and the Arrowverse, the CW shows tend to do this, bring back some of their bad guys. I would love to see her again.
Yeah, and I would not be surprised if she comes back later this season. I think there's definitely potential there. Also, just because of the dilemma that that our hero was put in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a great conflict, and a great way for her to work through, all those things that she's been handling in the early part of this season.
Well, and it really was a nice bookend is the wrong word, but a nice counterpoint. The premiere, her life as Kara is so terrible that at least she has Supergirl. And then Sai comes along and all of a sudden Supergirl is no fun. Supergirl is freaking out about the time in the pod and sending Mon-El away to probably die, she thinks. So that means Kara sucks and Supergirl sucks, and that put her in such a bad place. And then you got that gorgeous scene with Maggie where, she tells Kara, I'm always going to worry about you. And she does the little scoochy over on the floor to hug thing. And I'm pleased with the dynamic of the Danvers sisters this season very, very much.
Yeah.
So, it was good. I think I know the answer to this, but do you watch Jane the Virgin?
No, I do not. My sister does. My sister Irene is really into it.
Well, that means she has really good taste. Well, but Sai is played by Yael Grobglas, who is such a great villain with so many dimensions on Jane the Virgin. I don't even know that she's a villain anymore, honestly, at this point. And so it was really fun to see her just be pure, I guess evil. I was just going to say kind of pure greed and id more than anything else. But cool. Yeah, I liked it. But another question I have, when they installed Lena, when Lena bought the company, did nobody think, oh, it's going to be a lot harder for Kara to come and go now. She might ask questions.
Yeah. I think this was a really, really good dynamic, a really good way to shake the show up. At first, I thought, and I thought that James was going to be the one under fire. Like, he's going to be fired soon. And that, I mean, he is nervous, and I think he does have reason to worry, but that doesn't seem like he's on the chopping block just yet. But the fact that, that one scene right before she just exploded out of the elevator when Lena just called her on all her shit, to me that was a great moment, that was like Godfather, like, come on, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, and I love it when you have to play with that dynamic of we're great friends, but all of a sudden we're in very different roles, and that means I need to speak to you maybe a little differently if this is how it's going to be. So that tension was a lot of fun, and I kind of hope they continue that. I kind of hope they have to say I'm your boss now, okay, I'm your friend now. That can be kind of awkward. I really hope they don't make Lena stupid. That's my concern. That oh, Kara's gone again, and here's Supergirl. You know, I worry that it's going to turn kind of the problem I had with Smallville back in the day. After a while, Lana Lang is just stupid. How can you not? So I don't, please don't make Lena stupid. Please don't.
Well, you know, I got to be honest. I don't know if they're already having a little bit of that dynamic between Alex and Maggie.
Yeah.
Because some of those, like, now I'm not married.
Yes.
But isn't it usually you have the conversation about having kids before the engagement?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so.
Like you don't sit down and have a formal talk, but usually you just like mention offhand, yeah, you like kids? Yeah, I like kids. I want to have kids. Wouldn't that be something to know before you make that decision?
Yeah, usually at least it's something like, I don't know about right now. And so then maybe you have the conversation, well, what about later? Or, you know, it just sounded like they had never even mentioned, like, children did not exist in any of their previous conversations. And all of a sudden, oh, there are these small humans that could be in our lives. What do you think about that? And again, with the inappropriate location for it, they have got to stop having these conversations at crime scenes. Yeah. It's weird.
Yes.
It's weird. And I see what they're trying to do. I mean, we all know that Maggie is leaving the show. I hope that's not a spoiler out there. Sorry, everybody. But so they're setting the stage for, I think, this wedding is not 100% smooth, and they do have some stutter steps on the way. So, it's nice that they're planting the seeds early, so it's not going to just come out of the blue, I guess. But it does make their relationship seem a little strange that if they had just said, last time we talked, you didn't think you wanted kids. Is that still the case? Yeah, I'm still pretty sure I don't. Something like that, just so it's not like, what have you been talking about in your relationship?
I mean, it's not as dramatically exciting if, like, Alex is, like, all pumped to have kids and Maggie's, like, I don't know. Like, that seems more...
Yeah.
From a dramatic standpoint, that seems to fit better. But it just didn't seem that realistic to me. We found out that Rain has a first name, and it's Samantha.
Yes. They just have gone full speed ahead and made her a big part of the season with no apologies. My husband missed the premiere. I forgot that I watched it without him as a screener when I was recapping. And so I forgot to make sure he watched it before we dove into episode 2. We're halfway through episode 2 and he turns to me and says, "Who is this woman?" Because she's just there all of a sudden. And I was like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I forgot you didn't see the premiere." So yeah. I liked the surprise. Did you know that she was going to end up being an L Corp employee?
Oh, I kind of got that sense when she was calling in late from work, when she was on the phone. I figured that was kind of coming down the pike. But I think it's a great move. I think it's a great way, for her to actually interact with Kara and and to see okay, so that she's not just some random mom on the side. She does have some kind of relationship with the other characters.
Well, most importantly for me, it explained the house, because that was a nice house.
Yes, it was. And I don't know. Do you think Ruby was very brave or a very stupid young girl?
Stupid. Sorry. I see what they were trying to do. It just made me want to go watch Unbreakable with Bruce Willis more than anything else. So.
Yeah.
Please tell me that's a movie you've seen.
Yes, it has.
Okay. Yes, well, of course it would be. I don't know why I would think you hadn't. But
no, and yeah, we got a little tease for next episode where John's going to Mars. Now, do you think we're actually going to see Mars, or is he just going to come back and tell everyone about it?
It sounds expensive to do, which is not always the CW's strong suit. So maybe they'll show us a really red room and they'll call that good. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is going to be something like when we went to Gorilla City last season on Flash. If it's that kind of thing, which I thought was really well done. But at a certain point, it's like, yeah, we can't have any gorillas on the screen. We've just got to have Grodd talking through the other characters. So we'll see. I think it's an ambitious idea, and I'm excited to see how it works out.
I'm excited. I hope they show us their idea of what Mars could look like. You know, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fingers crossed.
All right. And news for Supergirl?
Nothing really.
All right, let's kick it off with the Flash.
All right. So we have Barry and the gang going up against Kilgore, a metahuman hacker on a revenge tear. Iris and Barry go to couples therapy and talk about some things that have been festering since Barry went away. Cisco had to push off a date with Gypsy on 111 day. Last minute reveal, the mechanic gave the Thinker an update on Kilgore and wondered where the other 11 metas might be.
Yes. Yeah. So
this pushed us into the rest of the season, I think, quite a bit, didn't it?
Yeah. Kilgore set up. He's a metahuman, but he didn't change the accelerator explosion, and there are more of him out there. And we saw 12 boxes on that screen, and he was one of them. So, I got nothing. Yeah. I think this was exciting. I think this was a very cool villain. A lot of the bad guys on the Berlandiverse shows are revenge tales. It's like, oh, this person did something, and they've got to pay. But I thought this was a cool way to go about it. Kilgore, I am familiar with the comics. He was a regular Flash villain with Wally West. When Wally was the Flash and Barry was dead when I was growing up. When I was a kid, Wally West was my version of the Flash. But and it's pretty Kilgore, it's not so much a person, it's this virus that just kind of sweeps across everything. But I think this was a good way to personify him in the show. And I thought he presented an interesting conflict.
Weirdly, he turned up this week also on The Good Place. So he was in 2 of my shows, which is always kind of creepy. Or alternatively, good for that guy's agent. Yes. Well done.
Yeah. Now, I thought the Kilgore story was good. The whole couples therapy thing, I'm not so sure on.
Okay, we're Barry and Iris. We're the gold standard. Are they? They just are not this big, beautiful ship to me. I just have never been that invested in their relationship. And I don't know. I feel like every time this comes up, I just sort of make a meh noise, but truly meh. I liked that it pushed her to yell at him about leaving. I think she has a good point there. He left. He didn't consult with her. He left. That's a valid reason for her to be angry. But just the Barry, we're going to therapy. Barry, we got interrupted. We're going back to therapy. Okay. All right. A lot of therapy. For me, the highlight of that relationship was the fact that they're having a 7-tier Ray chocolate cake for their wedding, and I'd like an invitation to that wedding because of that.
Yeah, and I think that was, it's interesting him being kind of presumptuous and planning everything, and it's like, it's still good to check and make sure it's okay. I don't know if I will cause a huge stir by saying I actually think Barry and Linda Park from season 1 was much more exciting than Barry and Iris. But
I didn't mind Barry and Patty. I thought they were fine.
Yeah, that's right, Patty. She was his girlfriend in the comics for a little while during the New 52 era.
I guess what they're doing was I don't know what they're trying to do with Iris, but at some point this episode, Iris is standing in a room with people who literally have multiple PhDs, and Iris is the only one who says, oh, here's what we need to do. Which, not to say that PhDs elevate you above, but there were scientists on the left, scientists on the right, and she's the only one who's like, okay, Barry, here's what we're gonna... Yeah, no, I get that she's been the team leader, but it just didn't... I feel like they're shoving her into this role in a way that just... hasn't been what the Flash does. The Flash has scientists doing sciencey things to solve things the science way. And that's not what's happening. And in fact, science kind of backfired with Barry's suit, which I actually really did enjoy.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
definitely the tone is lighter. I mean, they weren't kidding when they said they were going to have less grimdark and a little bit more of that Flash charm again, and they've done that. Apparently there's a Silver Age Fat Flash suit. Does this ring a bell with you?
You know what? Anything that seems visually dynamic, and if it comes from the Silver Age, yeah, it has to be true.
I saw a reference to, oh yeah, this is a callback to the Fat Flash, Silver Age. I don't know. I assume that means suit and not just that Barry started eating 7-tier raspberry chocolate cake. I don't know. But that was another one of those callbacks that sounded like it was just not one that anybody in my household recognized. I saw it when I got online then after that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, and okay, the whole Gypsy 111 day, which
yes,
1 + 1 and we become one. It's their Valentine's Day.
Yes.
I fault both people in this situation. I fault Cisco for making your date travel across dimensions and then ignoring her. Mm-hmm. But I also kind of blame Gypsy a little bit for not saying, "Hey, this is 111 day." Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
I feel the same way. I feel like she's always sort of had the upper hand in that relationship. Mm-hmm. So I think for her to say to Cisco, this is kind of actually a big day on my Earth. So if we could do something special, Cisco, can you imagine how much he would bend over backwards to make something amazing for her had he done that? It just didn't feel right that her character wouldn't have said, hey, this is kind of important, because I think that's... She kind of has been the one who sort of called the shots on the relationship. If she wasn't sure how she stood, I could see her not wanting to put pressure on him. But yeah, no, that was strange that she didn't express that, or hey, let's do that.
Yeah.
Although maybe, I guess it'd be like here on our Earth, anybody who's like, well, Valentine's Day is kind of lame, but at the same time, I'd like to go out to dinner. So maybe she feels as silly as a lot of other people here do, saying, yeah, I know Valentine's Day is completely contrived, Hallmark, blah, 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 but I still want the chocolates. And I still want an excuse to be like, yes, we love each other. So perhaps she felt sheepish because of that. I don't know. But you're right. The whole thing was a little conflict for conflict's sake.
Yeah. And one last thing that I think we need to mention. I did see some people talking to us on Twitter about this. But actually, it might have been Bill through our DCTV report Twitter. But we need to mention Wally's hair. What happened? I'm just confused. I am confused and a little frightened.
Twitter tells me, and this is not a news source on Twitter, this is just people on Twitter, that the actor himself wants to grow his hair a little bit longer, and the show said, okay, but did the show know the hair was going to do that when they said okay? Because it's not good.
No.
I mean, everybody goes through that awkward time when you're growing out, different looks, but no, it's not good.
Yeah, no, it's got this like wave to it, and it's like over the top. It really
volume.
It really looks like someone just cut off a skunk's tail and glued it to the top of his head. Like, it is just weird.
If all the run they does are dynamic, it's gonna catch currents, and it's gonna slow him down a little bit. He needs to. I guess that's why you have the hood on your suit, but still.
Yeah. It's
under there, waiting to spring free.
So yeah. And I'm seeing there is some stuff news about Flash this week. Harrison Wells is going to come back. Hazard's the bad guy. We'll talk about that next week. Was there anything else in here that
No, really nothing. Nothing really important, just that, which we know that it's not a speedster big bad this season, it's the thinker, and so it's going to force the team to sort of solve problems with something other than run real fast. So that'll be a nice change. So, yeah, pretty much that.
All right. Moving on to Legends of Tomorrow.
All right. So the Legends traveled to 1870 Wisconsin to extract a saber-toothed tiger from P.T. Barnum's circus. Sarah pulled in Amaya from 1942 to help, and Amaya had to face Nate for the first time since leaving him. Nate went on a drunken bender at a local bar, showed off his powers, and ended up getting Ray and Jax kidnapped by Barnum. Last-minute reveal, a mysterious figure summoned Kuasa out of the water.
Kuasa.
Is that how legally you're supposed to say it?
No. Kuasa. I'm imagining like it's a character from The Lion King. So yeah, P.T. Barnum, Billy Zane.
Was such a good episode. I so enjoyed this.
This was a Titanic reunion, wasn't it?
Oh yes, and they. I mean, you heard the Titanic joke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got Billy Zane and you've got Victor Garber back together after Titanic. You got Victor Garber saying, I want to meet the man who built the Titanic, and I would never get on that ship. And it's funny because he's the shipbuilder in Titanic, and it's right there, people. It's right there. Low-hanging fruit, but I still loved it.
Yeah.
So this was a lot of fun because the Legends went into a very low-risk situation to snatch an anachronism away, in this case a saber-toothed tiger, and they just kept making it worse. It just kept increasing in badness and increasing in badness. All I know is itty-bitty saber-tooth. It shrunk and it was tiny, and I made the most embarrassing little tiny saber-tooth. It was so cute. There were shrink ray mishaps. There were, little itty-bitty.
Yeah, no, I thought that was great. I do think that Agent Sharp might have a point, and these guys need to work on things like letting Ray make sure the shrink ray is ready before you open the door to the cage.
Yes.
Little thing, it's a tiny detail, but just that one thing, or maybe shrink him before you open it. Oh no, but then he might get away. But I thought that was really cool. I think Billy Zane, even though he wasn't in it for very well, he did that part very well, and I look forward to a couple months from now when Hugh Jackman plays it in a movie and shows me like how
that was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
That was a fun character because he wasn't evil. He was just trying to survive, and if it means kidnapping some people and doing what you got to do, But no, he was. I liked that quite a bit. Do you think the reason Victor Garber's leaving the show is because they make him dress up like a clown?
Yeah. I mean, it is weird because like having him on the show, it always feels like it's just like, wow, Victor Garber's here. Like he's just a class above everybody else. And that's not to knock any of the other actors, but it's a different vibe, and I welcome it. I enjoy it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back next season. I mean, it just he got this gig to do Hello Dolly, and the fact that they're letting him out to do that, I think is very generous on the production's part. But as far as this scene, that was not his best day.
Not his most dignified anyway.
Yeah, although plus the other thing with that, it is weird because Firestorm is so expensive that we see so little of Firestorm as Firestorm on the show. But Jefferson and Victor are such integral parts of the series. It's kind of this weird thing that they have going on. So like, I don't know if no Firestorm is better than very little Firestorm.
Yeah, I've wondered that too. I don't know.
And plus, I mean, is Jefferson leaving the show too, or are they going to find another partner for him?
And so it's a lot less likely that Victor Garber would come back. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So Sarah's trained by the League of Assassins. So my question is, any fight she has with a random time cop shouldn't be quite that evenly matched, should it be?
I mean, I guess that just shows how good training the time cops have. And they're not time cops, they're time bureau agents. We don't want Jean-Claude Van Damme in our case again.
It's true. Really only one Jean-Claude Van Damme mentioned a month. But yeah, it just felt like that shouldn't have been that evenly matched a fight if she is a former League of Assassins assassin. She should have mopped the floor with Agent Sharp. That's not to say I didn't like it. I did. It was great. They sat down for the timeout and got some water in the middle. I really liked the dynamic, but it just felt like she should have mopped the floor with her. But yeah, like you say, I guess that could just be really good training. But I thought the League was above and above and above and beyond just what it else could do.
They were. And now, I've been hearing rumors and people complaining like that these two are going to get together. Do you think there's any validity to that?
Yes.
Or do you
Yes, I do. I think anytime you have people who are that antagonistic, and when one of those is a bisexual character, to me it feels, this is not Kara and Lena, where neither of them have expressed that ever. The fans see it, but the show has never gone that way and indicated they will. The show has said Sarah likes the ladies. In fact, I just saw, can we transition a little bit into news? No.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to jump ahead too much, but one of the news stories about Legends that came out this week was that Sarah was going to have male and female romantic interests this season. So, she's bisexual. She's obviously got chemistry with Agent Sharp. Yeah, to me, that seems like a no-brainer that it's going to be, again, angry kissing. Ed, let me explain to you again about angry kissing. The magic that happens when you're yelling and you're fighting, and then what are you going to do? So are you still not feeling it?
I'm not noticing it. That's, it's just kind of like off, but then again, I'm not looking for it. So I'm sure it's gonna just like punch me in the face and be like, oh, that's what they're talking about.
There it is.
But I didn't. To me, it was just a good fight scene, and these two people just hate each other's guts.
But I think there's also growing respect, which I like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that will, and honestly, if they just keep them antagonists who do eventually develop that grudging respect, that's fine too. I don't really have a dog in that fight. Like, I don't really, I gotta see those two together. I could just see it definitely going there. I did think it was funny though that Sarah said, "Not my type. I like him dumb and loyal." And we know that's not true because we've seen her with Oliver and Nyssa, and neither of those people is dumb.
No.
And bless his heart, I'm not sure at the time how loyal Oliver was. So for Sarah to say that her type was dumb and loyal, no, that's a lie. So she was obviously being flip and putting off Agent Sharp, but I thought that was really funny that she said that, because opposite. Smart and not treacherous, but slippery when necessary.
Yeah, and they and we got Amaya back in the second episode of the season, and the big reveal was a vixen villain. So
yes.
Do you think Nate got any closure this episode, or?
I hope so. I kind of need him to be done with all that. He's never been my favorite character, so Nate getting drunk and revealing everybody's secrets and getting everybody captured, I don't have much patience for Nate hijinks. So I'm hoping that, he had a point. She should have told him why she left. That's just common courtesy. And I understand he has feelings and he's entitled to his feelings, but I just am not a Nate fan.
Next time, Nate, do what Mick does and get drunk on the Wave Rider and opine to Dr. Stein. Like, that's the way.
That's the first time anybody has ever said be more like Mick, but I agree. Be more like Mick.
Yeah, and do you know much about Kawasa? Did you see the animated Vixen series?
I have heard that it was quite good, but I have not seen it.
Yeah, it was quite good. They put the whole thing on a DVD that's available now, but you could still watch both seasons. It was a web series. They were like 5-minute episodes. So the whole thing fits into about an hour and a half. But really, really solid. Kawasa is she's the modern day Vixen's sister. So it's Amaya's granddaughter. She was a baddie who was brought back from the dead in the last minutes of this episode. So it's going to be interesting to see how she's going to be integrated in, and what kind of role she's going to play later in the season. So it looks like Amaya is going to be around to stay for at least a little while.
Well, I hope she and Nate can learn to coexist without getting drunk and getting captured.
Any news for Legends this week?
Just a couple of little shots here. DC Legends TV interviewed Mark Guggenheim, and he just sort of gave an overview of the season to come. He said that this season is going to be even zanier, but also more emotional, which are my two favorite looks on Legends of Tomorrow, so I'm excited about that, zany and emotional. He said that there aren't any current plans for Sarah to meet Black Siren. They'd love to do that, but right now that's just not on their horizon. And that the mastermind this season is going to be Damien Dark. He's going to be kind of the guy who's pulling the strings, which I'm curious about because we haven't seen him yet this season, right? So
yeah, no, we haven't. They still dropped him off in Miami or wherever it was.
Yeah. So how and where and when and what timeline he'll be from? Well, I'll be curious to see that.
Yeah,
That's pretty much it for Legends.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Cool. All right. So, moving right along. All right, we gotta kick it up. We're almost at an hour. So Gotham. All right. So on Gotham this week. Sorry, just no time for that music to play. Probably already finished, but Bruce learns Ra's al Ghul may be extradited, and went to confront him in Blackgate Prison. Bruce and Alfred were 2 steps behind, Jim and Alfred were 2 steps behind Bruce and had a tangle with Ra's assassins posing as Blackgate guards. Sophia tried to cozy up to Oswald by inviting him to lunch. Butch was dumped in a swamp full of Indian Hill chemicals, emerged as Solomon Grundy, and befriended a desperate Enigma. Last minute reveal, Ed brought Grundy to an underground fighting ring and ran into their on-staff physician, Lee Tompkins.
Dun, dun, dun. When Lee turned around and revealed herself, were you...
No! You were free!
I didn't notice this. Apparently her name was in the opening credits.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that, so I wasn't expecting to see her until they got to gotta see the doc, and then the doc has long dark hair, and I was like, oh, I know who this is gonna be. So, Lee.
Hey, Morena, what are you doing? I mean, it's great to see her. But I thought like we'd gotten closer. We'd moved on.
Yeah. And I thought Sophia was in the picture now, and so Jim might be, but who knows?
They still are. I mean, that's going to be weird because, like, she's going to be like a side piece for Oswald and Jim. But, but that, I'm trying to figure out where to start here because there's so much going on here.
Well, can I just start by saying that this season, Jim and Alfred, it's kind of like watching My Two Dads. They're both so worried about Bruce, and they're just like, oh, what's our son Bruce gonna do? And I'm enjoying that dynamic very much.
that was fun. Bruce was really taking charge this episode.
Well, he murdered a dude.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think Alexander Siddig really, like, this episode more than the others really looked like Count Olaf. And it was throwing me off a little bit. But the Dr. Bashir greatness, shone through. But
always.
I did take a little bit of pause. I think it's just his profile. But
so is that the last we'll see of him, do you think? Is he actually truly gone, or is nobody ever truly gone in Gotham?
No one's gone. Someone's gonna pick him up and throw him into a Lazarus pit, and we'll be right back where we started. Plus the other thing is, like, the whole idea is the air is that Bruce is meant to carry on his work now. And if he doesn't pick up that mantle, well, maybe that's what brings Ra's back and gets him even more pissed. It's like, no, this was a done deal. But
well, and my 2 questions I had with that is, of course, number one, what did he convey to Barbara via their glass hand touch light glowy thing?
I just figured it out. Another Star Trek thing. He transferred his Katra. That was Spock going to Dr. McCoy, pinching him and just grabbing it with the mind meld and saying, remember, that's exactly what that was. And that's how he comes back. She gets all upset and brings him to the Lazarus pit and thinks it's gonna work. She just dumps his body in there and it doesn't work, and then she jumps in after him and that's what brings him back. You heard it here first, folks.
I was gonna say, if that actually happened, I'm gonna give you $5. That's impressive. So that's my number one question. My number two question is Bruce thinking he killed a guy. How do we feel about that? Because I know this was a topic of conversation on the Wicked Theory podcast a couple weeks ago about Superman doesn't kill dudes. Does young Bruce Wayne kill dudes? Is that okay?
No, it's squeamish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, this is the first time he just outright did it. Although I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this.
I mean, I guess I could see if this is what, and he felt really bad about it. He betrayed his parents. He betrayed, everything in his life, basically. So if this is what turns him into, I'm going to use gadgets to trap people and put them in prison so they can escape over and over and over again. This is what turns him into that version of Batman, then that's cool. If that's the motivation, that the guilt is what keeps him from doing it again. But it was kind of a surprise. Young Bruce Wayne killed that dude.
Yeah, also with me, it's kind of like, season 2 of Arrow when Oliver made that vow that he's going to stop killing people. And, he's only killed about a half dozen people since then. So to me, it was just that first, I remember there was one where 3 episodes later, he just straight up shot a dude in the chest with an arrow. And just,
I was going to say, I could think of a couple episodes in season 5 where he killed a half a dozen dudes per episode. Yeah. So
yeah. And
Oliver.
So, I mean, this is kind of especially with the huge hit last week with Alex, and that playing on to this week, he's losing himself. And I actually think it was interesting that, Alfred had him put the suit away for now. And I'm interested to see how long that lasts. Is that going to be was that just the first 5 episodes of the show of this season, or are we going to have to wait a little later till the ratings get worse
before we bust it out again? Well, it does kind of make sense. I mean, Ra's did kill Alfred and bring him back, and he killed the kid last week, and I guess you can see how it built up to that, and how Bruce would feel like that was the only way to do it. Plus, Ra's was goading him. That's what he wanted. So I think, yeah. What did you think of the the Solomon Grundy Enigma pairing?
Oh my God! First off, I had no idea that Grundy was gonna look like that. He's a foot shorter, but that is Grundy from the comics.
I love that actor. Good news, bad news. Good news, we're bringing you back. Bad news, you're going to look terrible. Those colors are not good on any human being.
Sheet white. It looks, yeah. It literally looks like he just drowned himself in sheetrock. But I thought that was hysterical. I think that's the perfect two people to pair together. Or the perfect person to pair together with Grundy is this person who's trying to be okay, I'm smarter than this guy. This.
Yeah, I may not be smarter than Penguin. I'm smarter than this guy.
This is Ed's training wheels here. And you could see him start to get it together. But yeah, I thought those scenes were the best of the episode. Really cool dynamic, and I think that was a perfect way to end the episode. The fact that it's Lee Tompkins, well, we'll see. She's not working directly with Jim, so she may not encounter him for a half dozen episodes. So
yeah, let's cling to that.
I want to see how this plays out.
Here's another question about the League of Assassins. I'm just going to make you answer League of Assassins questions all night. Shouldn't Raish's guards have been tougher? If he replaced the prison guards with his guards, shouldn't Jim and Alfred have had a harder time taking down trained League
I think
warriors?
Yes.
Am I overestimating the League's fighting abilities, I guess is what I'm asking?
I don't think you are. I think what you're underestimating is writers need to get the heroes out of the situation.
Oh, okay. Plot expediency.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And I think that's kind of the same. I can give that same answer to the question you had about Legends earlier. It was like, okay, we need, in order for the episode to move on, we need Bruce and Alfred to advance past these people. So,
and again, I feel like I'm being nitpicky with these things, and I hate to, but you know, when you establish a certain group of people as the most fearsome fighters in the universe, and then you let them fall to a British butler and a mediocre cop. I'm sorry, I don't mean to mediocre, but he wouldn't be mediocre if he would #grow the stash.
Yeah, well, we caught him off guard. And Jim's been in Blackgate, and Alfred
true.
boxed in high school, so.
Oh, I firmly believe Alfred can do anything he wants to do, as long as he sets his mind to it.
By the way, my parents were in the room while I was watching this, and my dad did have a nice chuckle when Alfred was unloading all of his weapons when they got to the prison. That it's funny that he's learned. Yeah, I need all these things.
Just bring them all.
Like you almost want to give him his own utility belt just for that.
But it would be like made out of tweed.
Yeah. Now, were you weirded out at all by the Sophia Oswald story?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. The foot rubbing, that was weird.
Yeah, that was weird. But it's funny. Like, has Oswald really had a love interest on this show yet?
Other than Nigma? No, I don't think so.
No. Yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, there's a great mini-series called Penguin, Pain and Prejudice, which involves Penguin getting a girlfriend and it going sour.
Shock.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is a very interesting angle for Sophia to take.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the last thing that Oswald would have expected. So I'm really interested to see where this goes, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little creeped out.
Same. I like that she's keeping him a little bit off balance, and to me it seems like she's sort of keeping the upper hand, and I'm pleased to see that. But that was uncomfortable. Don't touch his foot. No.
Okay. Anything more on the episode?
Not so much.
All right. So
I bring back Selena.
Yeah.
And Victor, of course.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there are 40 characters on this show. They can't all fit in every episode.
That's true.
We do the best we can. But now speaking of Selena, there was an interview for Buddy TV that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, Buddy TV had a couple of Gotham stories this week. They did a roundtable interview with the Selena, Babs, and Tabs actresses, where they talked about the women's different character developments have sort of taken them to this spot in this season that has them maybe thinking about lying a little bit more. Babs has realized that being more businesslike and a little less driven by hot-headed emotions is the way to go. Selena has realized maybe she cannot trust Bruce, so she's looking for other allies. So it's an interesting interview that talks about how the women have sort of evolved and how they're relating to one another, which has done nothing but increase my hopes for Lady Team Up in this season of Gotham. I'd like that very much. Buddy TV also had a story saying that the Jim and Harvey tension, bad news, is only going to get worse as the season goes along, as they continue to disagree about how Penguin is handling crime and how complicit Harvey is in kind of going along with that. So I hate seeing Jim and Harvey on the outs, but apparently it's going to get worse before if it gets better, before it gets better. So
okay. Well, I mean, I don't see it going any other way. Harvey's always been the guy to cover his own ass. And the further and further he gets away from Bruce, from Jim rather, the harder it's going to be for him to keep on the straight and narrow. So yeah.
And it's a good thing for them to fight over. I mean, I like that that's what their falling out is going to be about. Well, not going to be, it is. I mean, we're seeing it happen. So, but it feels earned, and it's character driven, and it's plot driven, and it's not one of those stupid contrived things that shows sometimes throw at us. So if we have to do this, then yeah, I'm glad it's over.
Yeah,
this.
and I think Harvey's been in the background for like the last 2 or 3 episodes. So I'm interested to see him come more to the forefront soon. So I'm hoping this plays out soon, but we'll see. All right.
Well, Ed, there are 40 characters. We can't see it.
Moving on to our final show for this week, which is Arrow.
That would be Arrow. All right, so this week the team struggled to do damage control as FBI agent Watson began investigating evidence that Oliver is Green Arrow. Anatoly kidnapped some Markovian business owners and held them for ransom. Felicity learned that Curtis has a second job and grilled him about it. Diggle admitted to Dinah that he suffered nerve damage on Leon Yu, and it is affecting him in the field. Will got beat up at school and shared his fears about Oliver dying. And last minute reveal, Oliver asked Diggle to take over his mantle.
Oh, that's a huge reveal.
It is, especially when it's going to Diggle, who can't shoot.
Yeah. You think this is how we get this is how we get Roy back?
Oh, that'd be really great.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like that.
Yeah.
So of all the times that Oliver has quit being the Green Arrow, does this time feel different for you?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it does. Because like I feel like the last couple times he's quit, and it's funny because I mean, we're in season 6 of this show. So the fact that it's happened a couple of times, it hasn't really stuck. I think a lot of times it's like, oh, it's the end of the season, so he has to quit, so we can tell people that there weren't any stories over the summer that they missed out on. But
this one feels like the healthiest reason to quit. Last season, when he sort of rage quit because he got tortured, that obviously wasn't going to take. That was just a broken Oliver saying, I can't do this anymore. This, I mean, that's some character growth, saying that I can't, I have to let this drive inside me go and be what I need to be for my son. I'm not thrilled with the son storyline. That's not something I have ever looked forward to, but that he made that decision, I think, is leaps and bounds above season 1 Oliver, season 2 Oliver, season 3 Oliver. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. I do think I enjoy the way that the storyline is played out. I think a little of it's cliched, but I think that the big moments have been played really well. I think this has just got to make Felicity furious.
Oh, you'll quit for your son. I see how it is. Well, he did quit for her at the end of season 3. They did do the suburban life thing for a while.
Yeah. And then, the second something happens, it's like, oh, well, sorry. But but to me, it feels like at the end here, it's like, well, I have responsibilities now and people who rely on me, and I don't want them to get hurt, or I don't want them to have a life without me. And it feels like the way he was saying it, it's like, well, this is what's different because this has never happened before. Like, if I was Felicity, I'd be like, really? Well,
I mean, I can kind of see if Oliver dies. Really, not a thing. Never was. If Oliver dies, William is. I mean, he is parentless. I don't know what the grandparent situation is like, but if Oliver dies and leaves Felicity a widow or a grieving girlfriend, she still has. She's an adult. I can see the difference, but I do also agree from an emotional point of view. Really?
Yeah. Also, like, I'm sure Thea's got to be in that hospital bed going, what am I, chopped liver? But, yeah. So, but more into the story, and Diggle, the fact that he just stepped up like there, it's like, wait a minute, we're gonna start with a huge fight. If I were Dinah, I'd just come straight out with it. I'd be like, hey man, I'm sorry. I know you have like this, this whole little plan figured out, this cozy little thing, but this is not gonna work. Like, unless
he really is just gonna be the figurehead and just gonna be there for show, but that's not. No, I mean, Diggle's not gonna want to do that. So
it's also like, if he's gonna have the mantle of Green Arrow, if he's gonna wear that green suit, You know, it's the kind of, we've already seen him in the field right now. It poses a danger to everyone else on the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are 2 team members who almost got killed because he hesitated.
And frankly, if Dinah doesn't say anything, especially if he is going to be the Green Arrow, that makes her as culpable, I think, as Diggle not saying anything. I do like their scenes together, though, I will say. Those 2 actors work well together, Diggle and Dinah. I enjoy the way they play off each other, so I'm pleased that they have this plot to go on, but I think if she doesn't say anything next week, that's going to be really frustrating.
Yeah.
We don't know that character very well, and if she makes the choice to stay quiet, it's going to be harder to root for her, I think.
Yeah. Were you happy to see Anatoly back this week?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart when he and Oliver fight. I hate it.
Yeah, and he's scorched earth now. He's like, he's just like, nope.
But they were brothers. They were bratva.
And you know what? Oliver stepped out. Oliver stepped out of line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's nothing about Anatoly's position that's wrong.
Yeah, and Oliver knew what would happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, except for the fact that he's a gangster and you know is running a huge racket. That's probably wrong. But in terms of him and Oliver, I felt like I had to add that qualifier there.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, and I think this was some good. I like the idea. I like the fact that there was no supervillain this week. You know, that there was no one else in a costume, that this was you know, good hard street fighting, you know, and that the bad guy was defeating him with a different kind of way, and you know, also the toys, and then to find out at the end that Anatoly did not leak that photo at the end of last episode.
So we still don't know.
And FBI agent Watson is like, this isn't over, even though like your supervisor is gonna say, yeah, it is.
Yeah, actually, come home. I did think that William was written a little bit better this week. I like the awareness that there are a million psychopaths who are trying to kill my dad, and if he goes, any kind of security I have is gone. He felt more age appropriate this week than last week. Again, not super thrilled with William, but if we have to, this was a slightly better version of William. Do you think that with Oliver teaching him how to fight, that this is going to come back? We thought, my husband and I thought that we were going to see that this episode. Oliver's like, you got to punch the biggest one in the nose. I thought for sure Anatoly's people would try to kidnap him and he'd punch the biggest one in the nose, that would be the immediate payoff. And the show didn't do that, but will it happen down the road, do you think?
I'm sure it will. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if it's going to be like a direct callback, but I'm sure that William will find himself in danger sometime, before the end of this season. The one thing I actually did really like about that scene in the limo is it finally called out to Oliver, like, you can't just leave. You can't just like say, hey, I gotta go, and leave this kid just standing there. That was really hard to watch. Just kind of seeing this kid there, like, oh wait, I'm finally getting a moment for my dad, and he's leaving me. And I loved even the last time that he walked out. He said, "I got a call from work." He's like, "Which one?" I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I didn't think that Sassy Kid calls Oliver on his double life would be something I would enjoy, but same.
Yeah, and
I also like the show finally acknowledging that Felicity and Curtis don't really work. That Felicity's just been coasting on her Palmer Tech severance, and that Curtis is like holding down a second part-time job. But I like that they didn't really talk about that last season. How are they paying their rent? And so they finally addressed that. And of course we get is this going to lead to Smoke Tech? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Smoke Tech. How do we know it doesn't lead to Holt Industries?
What if it leads to both because they have a bitter falling out?
Yeah.
Ooh. But no, I'm pleased about that. I'd love to see that kind of ground up corporate building. That would be kind of fun to do, is watch them as they struggle with that and balancing. And how involved will they be? I guess they'll still be as involved with John as the Green Arrow. It won't change Overwatch. It won't change Mr. Terrific. Oh, by the way, did you notice the opening title credits now have all the different logos of all the different suits on the show?
I thought that was
very cool.
Yeah. Jinx by me a Coke. Yeah.
We are unified in its coolness.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really good, and I thought that storyline. Trying to think.
Ooh, speaking of that storyline, did you catch, as Felicity was quizzing Curtis about which programming languages, she asked him if Python is one of them, and Curtis says the supervillain, which apparently is a villain in other comic periodicals.
I gotta read up on that.
Python. Yeah, check into that. When I was scanning for news this week, I saw one of the sources had referenced Curtis saying, "Oh, the supervillain Python," and apparently that references a couple different bad guys that could be maybe popping up, maybe in the crossover, maybe elsewhere. So yeah, if you know anything about Python, drop us a line, because that was kind of a toss away thing, and I don't know if it's going to be significant later on.
Speaking of comic book name drops, how about Oliver calling out Bruce Wayne in the press conference?
Really funny. But is that the first time they've mentioned Bruce Wayne on the show?
That's the first time Bruce Wayne has been mentioned. On Supergirl, we've had a couple of drops where, like, you know, Kara or someone has mentioned that her her cousin used to hang with that really dark guy, or that guy who wears black. But no one's dropped the name Batman. And I think when Felicity became Overwatch, Oliver did drop a reference to Oracle. He said, "Oh, we were going to call you Oracle, but that name's already taken," which is Barbara Gordon's persona when she was in the wheelchair after being Batgirl for a while, which is one of my favorite comic book characters. Like that is, that run on Birds of Prey in the early aughts. But just I love the idea of that character. But yeah, no, I think finally that they're actually saying, "Oh, we're acknowledged that Bruce Wayne exists in this world." I'm interested. To me, that like almost made a sense that maybe the Titan show might be connected to the Arrowverse, even though Berlanti's saying no. But we'll see.
I assumed it was just a fun one-off because they finally got permission to use the hallowed name Bruce Wayne.
Oh yeah, we're not seeing Batman on screen anytime soon.
No.
You can bet your bottom dollar on that. But it was really fun to see that they took advantage of that.
It was also fun to watch the internet freak out.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is anything else on that episode?
I think we covered all the major storylines. Was there any news this week?
Oh, again, just kind of little bits here and there. Stephen Amell told EW that Oliver is going to be out of the Green Arrow business for several episodes, so this is not going to be a one-episode turnaround. Yes. So we'll see how long that lasts. And also, does this mean nothing but mayor business? Because, I mean, it's fine. If that's what they want to give us, that's what I'll take. But
yeah, well, maybe he starts to micromanage Renee and his job gets a little harder.
Oh my God. Write that speech better. No, Oliver Queen would never say that. And then Variety had an interview with, help me out, Ed, Juliana Harkavy?
Yeah, that's my best guess.
Harkavy? Yeah, good enough. Dinah, who promises, since there's so much bad blood between the Canaries, there's going to be a lot of Canary versus Canary on Canary violence this season. And she said if she could choose to interact with anybody during the crossover, it would be the Flash. She likes that character very much, as do we all. So that was just a little bit of information about what we might see coming up for the new Black Canary.
Cool. So I think that's the news. That's Arrow. So was there any news on any other shows?
Actually, yeah, we do have news on a show we haven't talked about yet on our podcast, I don't believe, and that is iZombie, which is a show I adore and cannot wait for it to come back. And we found out some information about what's going to be happening in season 4. So, Hidden Remote had an interview with Rose McIver, and she said that now that zombies are out of the closet, Liv finally is going to get credit for all the crimes that she's helped solve over the last couple of seasons. You know, people are going to know she was able to use her skills to do that. And in fact, moving forward, every human cop is now going to be assigned a zombie partner because that crime-fighting pairing works so well. So that's going to be something for season 4. Also in season 4, they've announced the casting of Daniel Banjor. It depends on if you want to go French or Midwestern there. Who was Walking Dead's Aiden, which does not ring a bell with me.
He was only in 3 episodes. I recognize this guy from he had a recurring part on Frequency, the TV version of that from last season.
Mm-hmm. Who was he in that?
He was her fiance.
Remember
her?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. He also was in an episode of Teen Wolf, but I didn't recognize him from that either. Anyway, he is playing a documentary filmmaker who shows up in Seattle to film the story of the zombie-human co-occupation, basically. And comicbook.com reported this and also said that season 4 is going to feature a human smuggling storyline where terminally ill and terminally injured people are snuck into Seattle to be scratched, to be turned into zombies as a way of saving their lives. So that kind of gives us an idea, I think, of season 4. It is all out there. The public knows we're changing police policies. We're going to see some rules. I saw it compared to kind of an East Germany thing with people and zombies sort of uneasily coexisting. So if you weren't excited about iZombie before, get excited because season 4 sounds like it's going to be fire.
You know what's funny? This show has been so small and compact, and this feels like it's just exploding this season.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I have a sneaky feeling that this might be the last season of iZombie.
I could see that. And here's the thing with shows that I love that are so consistently good, if they choose to end on a very high note, I don't begrudge them that.
Yeah.
I would rather have a very strong ending and lose all my, TV friends than that they pull an X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So but either way, all of that stuff sounds really cool. And I'm excited for it.
And the second little bit of news is about Titans.
Titans music.
And that is that we have our Beast Boy. And he will be played by Ryan Potter, who did, I assume, the lead voice on Big Hero 6. Looks like he's done quite a bit of voice work. Mm-hmm. So, there's your Beast Boy.
All right, cool.
I hope he likes green body makeup.
Yeah. It's got to be green body makeup, and he's going to be covered in it, and it's going to be really cool. Yeah. The other thing that's weird is, are they going to give him a houndstooth? Because that happens more in the cartoon than the comics. But and that I don't know if that would look weird on him. But yeah. I'm the fact that Beast Boy is we're going to see a live action Beast Boy. It's one of those characters like. I just saw a live-action Solomon Grundy that looked like Solomon Grundy. And so...
Has it restored your faith in everything?
Yes. Yes, it has. Yeah, it makes me want to vote in the next election. But, that we can do better. There is something else out there. That was not a political statement. That was just a random outburst.
Beast Boy 2020.
Yes, or maybe Greg Berlanti. Maybe that's the solution to everything. Greg Berlanti, Jeff Johns. I don't know. Make it happen.
I'd vote for Alex Ross. Alex Ross would have beautiful campaign posters. Can you imagine?
That would be. I think that's like the get for any politician. If you get Alex Ross to do your poster, it's over. It's done.
Yeah.
Just put it in the bag. I don't care if you're like Republican, Democrat, marijuana reform. Just automatically right to the front of the list.
You could want to outlaw all Ed O'Hares, and Ed O'Hare would still vote for you if you had Alex Ross do your campaign materials.
Yeah, I mean, it would be close, but yeah, I gotta go with you.
I'd think about it before I cast my ballot, but I'd still cast my ballot for the anti-Ed O'Hare candidate if I was Ed O'Hare.
Cool. All right, so that's all the news for this week. And coming down to it, we're winding down, coming up with our winner for the week. Winners for the week. So, who wants to go first?
Yeah, I think you went last week, so I'll go this week.
Okay.
I have to go with Mazikeen from Lucifer. She doesn't often get to carry a full episode like that, and Leslie and Brandt did a beautiful job with the different shades of maize, which sounds like a terrible new Crayola crayon coming your way, shades of maize. But her demon is having a little bit of an existential crisis. Once a demon dies, a demon is dead. And so you got to live for the moment. And she kind of seems to have been feeling the weight of the soullessness pressing on her. Why am I here? What do I do? And so bounty hunting fills that void until it doesn't. And so she goes after this bounty, and it's more rewarding and fulfilling than she expects, and she plays all those emotions so well. She plays sexy, she plays scary, she plays playful, she plays conniving, she plays vulnerable, and she makes the decision to come back home to the people she cares about, which is the Lucifer family in LA. So the actress, the character, the writing, the chemistry between her and Chris McKenna, all of it was fantastic. So hats off to Mazikeen this week. How about you?
Cool. So my winner for the week are people mistreating their girlfriends. Because,
right.
Well, I mean, first off, in Lucifer, I think Muffy got the short end of the stick from
she really did.
From Rivers. I thought that Alex springing up that thing on Maggie about kids was kind of unfair. I think the way Barry finally got called out by Iris on the way he's been overbearing and not thinking about the relationship in the proper way.
Sure. And then you got Cisco.
Yeah, Cisco. What happened with Gypsy. That right there. Nate. Not being over Amaya and then getting drunk and ruining the mission.
Oh, Nate.
Yes. Babs shows up to visit Raish in prison, and he just, passes over some mystic spirit and then kicks her out, and we never see her.
And doesn't explain it, just like a man.
No. And on Arrow, Diggle tells Dinah this, and we have no idea what Lena knows about this. And where was she during this episode?
Apparently they're not paying that actress's fee because she's just nowhere.
Nope. But I think the fact that he's hiding it from them means he's probably hiding it from her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mistreatment in my book. So I think all across we had women scorned.
Good eye for a trend this week.
Yeah. It's a weird trend, and it's not one I enjoy reporting on. But
can we throw Penguin in there because he made poor Sophia touch his foot?
Yeah. What did he make her?
Oh, well, she did it, but he could have been like, no. I insist. Don't touch my feet.
I think she made him want to make her touch his foot.
She made him want to make. Okay, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, I think there's something else going on there. There's a plan.
There is a plan, and I cannot wait until it's all unveiled.
So cool. That's the winners for this week, and that is the DCTV report for this week. Thank you all for listening. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
I'm at Sanetti. That's SARANETZLEY.
Okay, and you can follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show, rate and review us if you can on your podcast app of choice, and check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer Bill Sweeney. Be sure to visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam!